we used the word czar, and people went, is that correct? CZAR or TSAR? They are both interchangeable.
CZ. That's how I've been spelling it. CZAR.
Yeah. So they both work. They both work. Mean exactly the same thing.
And thanks for joining your English lesson today, people. Next.
Slight tangent before we transition into a new phase of the show. Oh my God, that's what unleaded means. When I've got my petrol, I've never considered why it was called unleaded. I didn't know that they put lead in fuel. Here is my fun little history fact. Okay, the person responsible for coming up with the idea of adding lead to petrol is also the man that came up with, I think, CFCs and refrigerators and burned a hole in the ozone layer. They reckon that one man's two terrible ideas have killed more people in the past 100 years than anything else. Wow. Just one dude.
It is funny when you have a revelation that was so obvious to everybody else, but not to you. My one was I don't know, 5 years after listening to him, I realized that Will.I.am spells William. I had no idea until I saw it written down that Will.I.am spells William. And just to correct myself, you probably weren't giving us an English lesson. You were probably giving us a Russian lesson, just technically. Yeah, so Will.I.am is William. I didn't think about it, didn't know it until I finally saw it written down somewhere and went, oh my gosh, William,
I had a very, very public moment like that with a musician. There's a band that I like called City and Colour. And it's a weird name for a band. And I went to see a live performance of City and Colour, and I was sitting with a whole bunch of people that I hadn't met before. And I was like, I verbalized that out loud, and then somebody went, it's because his name is Dallas Green. And I went, oh, fuck, I knew that. Oh, I'm so dumb. But it rippled through the crowd that heard that conversation of everybody going, oh, that's why. So I wasn't alone.
I'm going to show you another one. This is not me. This is a friend of mine. A friend of mine that worked in I think I told the story once before. A friend of mine who worked in a setting where it was a religious setting. We'll just put it that way. And he was looking to connect with agents over the world. So he signed up to this group called Who Represents, right? Mm-hmm. And so you could go in there and you could, contact who represents this person, who represents that person, who represents that person. He paid for it on the business. Well, it was a trust, on the trust credit card. He looked at what it read, and then he sent a message to his wife. And he said, in case I die in a car crash on the way home, I just want you to know that I didn't just sign up to Whore Presents, because it's exactly the same words. So who represents, if you put all the letters together, spells Whore Presents. And so he just wanted to make sure his wife knew he wasn't getting some action on the side or something.
Do you know the best website to buy new pens for the office?
Yes, I do, but you can tell the people.
Yeah, it's a website called Pen Island. You can just type that in, or one word, into a browser. Thank me later. It's a great source of pens.
I still wonder if that was done on purpose. I mean, I'm assuming it was, but there is the possibility that was just a happy coincidence. You know what I mean? For people who aren't looking it up now and haven't got it, you should tell them what it is. Pen Island is also
Penis Land.
Yeah. Yeah, it must have been on purpose, because you wouldn't call yourself Pen Island. Very clever, though.
I love the fact that we've transitioned from the potential collapse of our health system to rude words.
Wow.
Rude words.
Gosh. Should we continue on our conversation around rude words, because we actually have something to talk about tonight, or should we go into Mr. Luxon?
Oh, that's too good of a segue to ignore.
Should we do it?
Yeah.
All right. So I've got a conversation for you, and me and Chewy talked about it beforehand, and there are some words in here that are going to offend some people. But the conversation I'm sort of wanting to have around it, it's not really a news item per se, is around, are we going backwards in the language that we're finding acceptable in society? I think this is, there are going to be some offensive words to most, if not all people in this. And if you are particularly sensitive to, words that are derogatory towards a particular community, especially some of the worst ones, go to the bathroom. We'll see you in 2 minutes. But here's here's our Deputy Prime Minister, Winston Peters, in the House today.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Could I ask the Minister, does two of the top three in this Parliament who have got Maori background, or the highest percentage of Maori and Pacifica in a cabinet, or the highest in percentage in the country in terms of Parliament, represent progress or the kind of retard comment you just heard?
Point of order.
Point of order. The House is getting a little unruly. So,
I wonder why.
Point of order,
is it?
Debbie Nauru-Wapaka.
The history of the word retarded is bad enough to be hearing in this House. In fact, people have endured years of abuse because of that very name, but is unparliamentary for a minister of that seniority and age group to be saying that in the House. Please, within your powers, stop that type of language in this House.
I'm sure you wouldn't want me to rule on the basis of an ageist
shut
comment,
up.
But I would ask the Minister
Right,
to
Brownlee.
withdraw the word used.
I withdraw the word use.
In the most get off my lawn granddad sounding way. Now, the thing is, I actually I came across something else today. Now, I kind of said if your words are offensive to you, you're about, me and Chewie talked about this beforehand, but sometimes it's appropriate to hear the actual things being said, right? So I'll just be blunt. The N word gets used in this clip. Okay? Fair warning. It's only 40 seconds. If you can't do it, then turn off for 40 seconds. But this is what we're talking about. This is a story today that was about a boarding school student in Dunedin at a school called John McGlashan who has been suspended for allegedly using the N word. Now, his father on this interview doesn't say the N word. He says the N word, and he says it very casually and very relaxed, which makes you think, gosh, he's incredibly comfortable with this word. Whereas Mr. What's his name again? The keeper of the crypt, Michael Laws, also drops the R word in the space of just one sentence. And I just thought, wow, like 3 times in one day, these things seem to be coming back.
All right. Certainly it was a very different school then. It was sort of, well, to be perfectly honest, it was a bit retarded by comparison to what it is today. Now, your son is involved in what that gets him excluded from the school?
Well, we don't know the exact words that were said. The school's claiming our boy used the...
I actually don't want to play it.
Our boy and another
I don't want
boy
to play it.
both claim that no, that word was not used. But that seems to be the catalyst for the exclusion.
There you go. If you want to hear the word, I don't know, Joe. I just felt like I don't want to play it. I don't want to play it on the thing. I don't want to hear it on the thing.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, the bit that I pulled down and went up, he said what the word was. And the thing is, he said it so casually and so comfortably. It was no like, look, I'm only saying this because I'm being, he didn't say the N-word. He said the N-word so comfortably and so nonchalantly. It's just, and I guess I don't want to, like jump on him or his kid. We don't know the full story, but there's a certain kind of person in the world. We've talked about language before and about especially Māori place names being butchered, and people just don't choose to get it wrong. And like there's a couple of areas around Dunedin. The Waikawaiti is a bit further north, and of course this guy calls it Waikawai. We're in Waikawai. Just refuses, anything, won't do it. N-word slipped out so very, very comfortably. He wasn't using it himself. He was repeating what his son had been accused of, to be fair, but it was said so comfortably. And if you want to check out how comfortably, it's go to YouTube and look up the Keeper of the Crypt and check on that conversation for yourself. But it did make me think, kind of 3 times in one day, I'm like, coincidence here. Are we seeing the decline of society in many ways? And look, we can say Trump started, went through, and now it's like the so anti woke brigade wants to come out. They want to be so far away from those liberal lefties that they're just going to actually find strength in using these terms and terminology that are deeply offensive to some, if not a majority. I think the N-word is deeply offensive to anyone, even if you're not the victim of it. But, the word that starts with R that they use, that may not be offensive to the hugest proportion of the population, but deeply offensive to some. And are they taking that as a badge of honor now? Like, I'll just show you how unwoke I am. I'll just say them. You know what I mean, Chewy? It's a thought. That's all.
Well, I mean, we had a story the other week where someone was quite happy to use the term spastic as well. So, yeah, I think there's an argument with this. I mean, this exclusion of the student from John McGlashan. I've read the story, and
Yep.
like when you said that you had the parent just busting out the N-word with not even a should I say it or shouldn't I, not even
No hesitation.
a reaction from Michael Laws about it either.
Yeah, definitely no reaction from Michael Laws.
Didn't even bother him. Never even slowed him down. Whereas I think the majority of people would have real hesitation saying it. And I think when it comes to what this kid is accused of saying and of doing, he's been excluded from quite a prestigious school for targeted bullying of a Māori student. And some of the things that he's been accused of are deliberately mispronouncing the word Māori, engaging in banter, but has denied using the N-word or calling this other student a bush Māori.
Just before you go on, I wonder if that banter is locker room banter. You know, I wonder if you've heard that before.
It's all good jokes.
It's just locker room banter.
It's all jokes. It's all jokes.
Yeah.
This guy's taking it too seriously. He's too sensitive. You know, all of this classic way of minimizing the effect that bullies have, and even minimizing the fact that some quite racist things have been said. Now, in swing the parents, Mr. Emerson said he believed their son had been made a sacrificial lamb.
Oh God, that's Christ-like
Mrs. Emerson said
analogy,
their son. Mrs. Emerson said that their son was not a racist, and he was just a kid that said some stupid things in class with a whole bunch of other kids. It doesn't really make him a racist.
And just for clarity, not that it matters, stepson. Just to be accurate for the story. That's what
I'm just reading straight from the ODT
Yep.
here. But, you know, do they believe that the school has just pulled the trigger on excluding someone based on no evidence? Like, other students have heard him say it. The person that is making the accusation obviously heard him say it. And these parents are just rushing to the defense of their little angel who could do nothing wrong, up to the point of running immediately to the platform and busting out the N-word. I'm sorry, I don't believe you. I believe that your son is a sheltered little rural guy that thinks he can get away with this sort of stuff when he's put in a position with a whole bunch of other white kids that are going to back him up. It is classic bullying.
Yeah, the whole story is we don't know all the details. Like, I did listen to that interview on the Keeper of the Crypts show, and and the parents were like, the boy didn't even complain. It was the boy's father who complained. So whatever. Yep, just push away.
The boy that's being bullied is outnumbered.
Yeah,
and he's gone to tell his dad. Like, oh.
I like what Tane said. I've never thought about this. You know, sometimes when people use an analogy but it's upside down, the one I always think of is, you know, the rotten apple spoils the bunch. People use that as a way to say only one person in this group is bad. That's not what the analogy says. It says one bad person means you're all bad. The rotten apple spoils the bunch. It's not the rotten apple gets removed and everyone else is okay. And here's another one, actually, and Tane's just said it beautifully, because they said a sacrificial lamb, a lamb to the slaughter. Isn't the sacrificial lamb supposed to be the best one, not the crappiest? It's true. In all the religions, the one you sacrifice is the best of the best, not the worst of the worst. So I like it. So
what I meant is he's been sacrificed on the altar of woke.
Yeah.
Like, if this is how it played out, if he said it, look, all credit to John McGlashan for absolutely sending a message to every student at that school that you can't do that. Like, let alone the choice of the words used, of bullying at all. You know, when I went to school, bullies got away with absolute murder.
Yeah.
And we've certainly had a case, funnily enough, with my old principal when he moved to Otago Boys High School, of rampant bullying. And it was all washed away with, these are good kids, boys will be boys. It's all character building, all of this old bullshit. And if that's going on and you want to chuck racism in there, you did a bad job raising your son.
I watch that Discovery Channel series, The Deadliest Catch. I've watched every series of it. Love it. Hardest, men in the world, most dangerous job in the world. They've got mouths like sailors. They're just, because they are sailors. And one of the captains kicked one of the crabbers off his boat last week for calling one of the other crabbers the N-word. And I think if those guys, if the crabbers in The Deadliest Catch are going too far, then sorry, private school students, if that's what happened, how it happened, yeah, you can sit down. You can sit down, mate.